Hey, good morning and welcome. This is Brenda Meller with Meller Marketing, and this is my LinkedIn Live interview series where I bring on inspiring people, that is the key, to inform and educate you. And today I have with me Kay Miller. Hey, Kay, how are you doing today?
Hi there. It's the Meller and Miller show.
It is. I have to feel like we're distant cousins at some
Yeah,
point too,
really.
right?
Somewhere along the line, somebody had a typo.
I
We were
think so.
probably
I think
related.
when our families came, it was my husband's name that it was your husband's name too. So,
Right.
right,
We
both of our
married we
spouses.
married Meller and Millers.
Right. And I want to welcome our audience. We had a little bit of a hiccup this morning. Now, when you're a pro, you're going to have a hiccup at some point, and this is going to happen to you as well. So I'm going to tell people what happened because I never have mistakes, Kay. I always tell people I have learning
I
experiences.
love it.
And my learning experience for today is when you're starting to go live on a live stream, whether it's StreamYard or Restream or wherever, you might get an error message. And today my error message was, hey, it's not picking up on LinkedIn. LinkedIn, the destination is not picking up the live feed. And it gives you about a 30-second kind of a delay from the time that you click live until it goes live. So you've got like those 30 seconds to figure out what are you going to do. And for me, I'm like this. I'm like, nope, LinkedIn is my most important network. We're going to have to edit the stream. And when you go in StreamYard and do that, you can't edit a live that's already begun. So I had to like start over from scratch. And I called Kay on her cell phone. I'm like, let's walk through this. And I got her in the background and I said, okay, now we got it. We're going to go live. And normally I would be broadcasting this on my Meller marketing page because I've started to move over my live videos there. But I know that there are more folks following me on my personal profile. So for today only, we're going to be here on my profile. But thank you, Kay, for your patience and for staying with me as we kept it cool and
Well,
worked
I have
through the
to say,
technology.
when you said cool, I was thinking, she is cool as a cucumber.
I
And you did
yeah.
something that I like to do, and I don't know if other people do this to help them. You talked yourself through it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm staying calm. I'm going to click this. Now I'm going to do this. Now what's your cell phone number? I'm going to call you. And I thought it was like really calming. Next step, next step. What am I going to do? Here we
Yeah.
are. Good
Yeah.
job.
And here we are. And I'm going on the Meller marketing page right now because there's a couple of people. I already saw Marty Constant. And Marty, I'm not sure if you're watching. If you are, please comment and let me know that you found us here because she messaged me and she said, I can't find the live stream. Where is it? And there's a bunch of people that I invited to this event last night. And unfortunately, the live stream wasn't working from the page. So I'm going to direct it on the page right now to have people come over to my profile. I apologize for the hiccup, but this is what we do, and you and I are both presenters, Kay. When there's a hiccup that happens, tell your audience what happened, and then let's quickly move on from it. And on that note, I want to get into our conversation because we are here today to talk about how you, our audience, can make more sales by becoming an uncopyable salesperson. And Kay, I'm very excited for this conversation because, as you know, I am not a salesperson. I'm a marketer. Sales always makes me feel kind of like, I don't want to say cringy or icky. I don't know. I just feel uncomfortable with this approach. So before we jump into that, Kay, though, I want to talk and let our audience know you and I met by way of your husband, Steve, and we did a LinkedIn coaching session. During that, I learned more about you and both of your backgrounds. Steve is an author of a book, and you're also an author of a book. And I've read about half of this so far,
Yay.
Uncopyable Sales Secrets. I'm really enjoying it and learning from you along the way. So before we jump into our conversation, you give us some tips about making more sales. Why don't you tell us a little bit about you and your business?
Yeah, I work with that said husband, Steve Miller, not the Steve Miller Band, unfortunately, but Steve Miller. And we have worked 4 years together in a consulting, speaking, and marketing, consulting, and speaking business. So during those years, when we were also raising our daughter, and by the way, today is her 30th birthday.
Oh, happy birthday.
So,
Kelly, right? Kelly's
so
dad, if I'm remembering from the profile. Is that right?
yes, Kelly's
Yay.
dad. He always says Kelly's dad. Of course, I'm Kelly's mom. We only have one. Poor thing. We were those parents. So I have worked in sales, really selling Steve, pimping out my husband. But before that, after college, I was in outside sales. And so the very first job I had out of college, I was the first woman they'd ever hired. So it was for a cabinet hardware company, builders hardware, and functional and decorative hardware. When I worked there for a few years, I did really well. And then I was hired away by an automotive company. So another super glamorous job where I was calling on distributors and automotive repair garages. And I was one of few women, but they were very anxious to hire and promote more women, which was awesome. And I
Yeah.
ended up being salesperson of the year with the highest sales increase of anybody in the country. So that really, gave me a lot of credibility. I enjoyed that job a lot. And I learned so many things that helped me, throughout my sales career, selling Steve, mostly Steve's speeches and products and consulting, and then morphed into doing my own. So,
Mm.
it's not an exact linear path, but that's hopefully gets you on kind of caught up of where I am.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's kind of interesting because when you're going through your career and you're accumulating all these different experiences, it's really hard to see like how the dots connect. But then when you get here, you look back and you're like, wow, this all makes sense. And there's so much knowledge that I have to share to others along the way. And that's why I'm really delighted, to have this conversation with you here today. So let's jump in and let's talk about this here. And we're going to be talking about how you can make more sales by being uncopyable. So Kay, I mean, there's a lot of people that are watching, and I want to remind our audience, whether you are watching live or if you're watching this in playback, please drop a comment. Let us know where you're watching from, or you could say good morning, good afternoon, whatever you'd like. It's kind of like the mic check for us. It's like, is this thing on? Is the screen working?
Anybody
It
there?
lets us know that it's picking up, but it also lets us know that you're watching. We can see that you're so just a quick comment below. Let us know whether you are watching this live or in playback. So I know, Kay, there's several people that have been really interested in this topic of getting more sales. So what tips do you have for us?
Well, let me give you a little bit more background. First of all, we are all in sales. And, even if we're, whether you're a marketer or, a consultant, a college consultant, a plumber, almost all of us are in sales. And whether we're trying to convince our family which movie to go to, or our husband which restaurant, our ideas, we all want to persuade. So I think the basics of sales are really connection and persuasion. And we all know that if somebody has a very strong idea about something, you're not going to change their mind, and they're not
Right.
going to change your mind. So really, sales is about getting into the other person's mind, finding out what they really want. And in the sales situation, you're going to find out what they need, what they envision for themselves, what problems they have that want to be solved. So it's really, to me, to make more sales, you have to spend more time understanding them. And it might not even be a long period of time. I mean, we've all gone to a car lot and we've got somebody who just kind of shows you the cars. And we've got another type of salesperson who says, well, how long have you had your car? What did you like about it? What did you
Right.
not like about it? So to me, sales is, like you say, a lot of people think, ew, sales,
Right.
it's shoving something down somebody's throat. No,
Yeah.
if you don't look at it as manipulative, but you look at it as helping someone get what they want. Well, who
Mm.
doesn't want to do that?
Yeah.
Uh,
You
so
remind me, Kate, of I get all these emails right now, and they're unsolicited emails, they're cold emails. They're from people I have never heard of. And, often I'll look at them, I'll look them up on LinkedIn. I'm just like, how did I even get my email address? But I look at what they're trying to sell to me, and the solution's not even a fit for my business. And it's a big, it's a big turnoff. I mean, even if I was remotely interested, it's the fact that it came out of the blue from nowhere and it's a big sales pitch in an email. Um, I mean, maybe that's part of the reason I get kind of icky and squeamish about sales, because I see a lot of people and maybe they're doing it the wrong way. What do you think?
Oh, I totally think they're doing it the wrong way. So if you can see, I don't know if you can see on this screen, but behind me is a big picture of a moose.
Let me pull it
Um,
up. Yeah.
yes, there we go. So there is a picture of a moose, and that is very significant because in the language of uncopyable, which I should probably define a little bit too, we call your target market, your ideal target market, your moose.
Mm.
So the
Mhm.
analogy is if you were a hunter, which I am not, the only thing I hunt for is a pair of shoes. But if you wanted to hunt a moose, now you talk about shoe hunting. That's right.
Right. That's
Done
a hunt.
half
Yes.
yearly. Okay. But if you were to hunt moose, you wouldn't want to you want to find where your moose are up north, not in Arizona. You want to know the language your moose speaks, the bait that you would use to attract them. And then you would go in a very targeted fashion and you would hunt your moose. So that is really where you should start when you're selling. The more work you do up front to define who your exact target is, knowing them, then you can talk to them. And I get a lot of those LinkedIn pitches too. Same thought. Even if I needed what they are selling, forget it.
Right.
I hate that.
So
So,
I'm curious though, but what do you do with those pitches? Do you just ignore them? Do you decline them? Do you say no, thank you? Or I'm wondering, because you're a salesperson helping train salespeople, do you try to convert them to a customer?
no, I don't. I'll tell you what I did with one of them that I got yesterday. And it was like, "Hi, K. Miller. I hope the Adventure LLC is doing good." And I'm like, I don't,
Right.
just, it was so bad.
Insert company name here, right?
Took a screenshot of it, and I have a little mastermind group. I shouldn't say little. I have
Yeah.
a mastermind group of business owners, marketers, salespeople that meet twice a week. And I took a screenshot of that so we could discuss that and how wrong that is and what we could do right. So, good sales, it takes more time to find your moose. But another thing that you can do if you don't know them well is offer something. I mean, if I have a pretty good idea that they might be a customer, I can say, "Hey, would you mind if I send you my book?" Because
Right.
I have gotten, I have a book, a brand new book. I've gotten some copies from the publisher. I can buy them at a deep discount. If I know somebody might be a customer, I can say, "Hey, would you like me to send you this book?" So you have to do the marketing where you get them to raise their hand, and then you have the sales conversation. So it starts with the moose for sure.
I love it.
And so that is how I would recommend that you start the sales process and then really get to know the customer. And the good news for you, if you're watching this, is that it's not that hard to really stand out, because as we all know, we remember the bad sales experiences like Brenda and I are just talking about.
Right.
For you to, be different and listen and follow through. And, my book is a lot about the basics. Now, there are some really creative things in there, and I have a giveaway that we'll be talking about how to get in the door. And I've
Yeah.
got some very creative ways to do that. But, being brilliant at the basics really goes a long way in sales.
Yeah, I love it. And it's funny because someone else already commented, I get hundreds of them a week. I'm sure that, Tom, you were referring to the hundreds of the cold email pitches that are going out. And the irony is it's really, I mean, if you're taking the approach that you're talking about, Kate, it's more of the quality over quantity. This kind of spray and pray approach of just blasting this email to everyone. Or, I see a lot of people using automation, which, by the way, is a violation of LinkedIn's terms of service. Eventually you will get caught and your account will get locked up and you'll be thrown in LinkedIn jail. So don't do it. But, not only that, but then there's the icky factor of the recipients. How many of those people are actually letting you through the gates at that point and saying, sure, I'll sit through your demo and listen to your proposal and your pitch and everything. So you're saying starting this process with identifying your moose. Now, let's say there's someone on who doesn't know who their moose is, or they might say, my moose is everyone. What is your response there?
I think the best way to if you have that question, look at your current customers, because we all have customers who, we make the most money from. They're the most fun to deal with, least headache. We serve them the best, and we're the best fit for them. And, really it's the 80-20 rule, or opportunity cost. I mean, you don't want to waste time on bears when you can find moose. So even though it's tempting, we get so excited about our product. And that's why I think one of the biggest mistakes salespeople make is we talk too much. And we are excited about our product or service. And so, yes, we think everybody needs it. But if we really think, okay, we have a limited amount of time, resources, money, who should we choose and really go after them in the best way possible? Because then you can, spend more time, spend more money, really get to know them and really serve their needs. So look at your very best customers, or you might even look at the competition's best customers. Just saying, so if you want to be effective, and when I was the number one salesperson and have had my sales success, it's strategic. It really is. The more strategic you can be, the more successful you'll be. You can't give an amazing, uncopyable experience to everyone on the planet. You just can't.
So let's shift into that, this whole concept of being uncopyable, because that to me seems like that might be the secret sauce in this whole, how to really achieve better sales. How can we be uncopyable? Because it seems like salespeople are cut from the same cloth. They all do the same training. Their bosses are all the same. More calls, more emails, go, go, go. And there's quotas and there's things that are out there. But in reading your book, I'm starting to learn this process. So give us some information on how we can be uncopyable and what does that mean?
Well, I'll tell you a story that from my days selling mufflers and catalytic converters. Now, I had a unique advantage because I was a woman. And so that right there, I got to clear my throat here. Hold on.
You're fine. And Kay and I are both, we were talking about both recovering from having some head colds. And I said, the great thing is in StreamYard, you can mute yourself, but we're both sipping and she's got a water. I've got a green smoothie. I know it looks weird.
Oh, that really looks good. But I'm sure it's very good for you. So when I was selling mufflers and catalytic converters, I had a credibility problem because I was a young woman in this field of men. And when I was, I was always such a good student. And when I went to, Walker is the name of the company, I studied my manuals and I, studied all the parts and the thicknesses of the materials and all the stats and everything. But I just knew I didn't know anything about cars. In fact, I wasn't even that great a driver by judging from my track record.
You got from A to B, but if the car had issues, maybe you'd go to the garage.
So, praise the Lord for backup cameras. That's all I'm going to say.
I know, right? It's funny. Like, how do we live without them? Like, my son is 17 and he's got an older car and he doesn't have it. So when his car is getting repaired, he's using mine. He's like, this is amazing. And it's the same thing as having like power windows. We didn't have those. We had like the crank,
I know. In fact, if you're of a certain age, you remember the days when we didn't even have air conditioning in cars.
Oh yeah. Right.
Yeah. Family road trips. Fun. So when I went to work for this company, I was selling through distribution and some chains of muffler shops. I went to one of the muffler shops that was a customer of my distributor. And I said, would you teach me to install a muffler? And he looks at me, he's like, seriously?
Right.
Yeah, I want to learn how to do this. So he said, okay, well, you need to go down to the Red Wing shoe store and get some steel toe boots. And this is
you like shoe shopping, so this is good for you, right?
Not these shoes. I looked at his shoes. I'm like, are you kidding me? They were like these, your mama wears combat boots. These were the boots.
Yeah.
So I went and got some steel toe boots and went to the shop, clunking in, and he gave me all this welding equipment and got me all set up, helped me take the old muffler system off because it's all connected with pipes and gaskets and they're all welded together.
Right.
And then he showed me how to weld the new system in place. Now, this was during the time there was a popular movie, I'm sure you remember, Flashdance.
Yes.
And in the opening scene of this movie, it's dark in the movie, if you remember, they pan in and there's a welder and on assembly line or something. And this person who you assume is a man puts down the welding torch and starts to remove the helmet, and you realize it's not a man, it's a woman. It's beautiful, gorgeous Jennifer Beals.
Right.
So I'm under this car welding, doing my thing. I'm thinking, yeah, I'm kind of like Jennifer Beals. So when we were done, I set everything down.
You're ready for
And
your flash dance moment, right?
yeah, my flash dance moment. Except when I took my helmet off and I looked across the garage, there was a little utility sink with a mirror, and I'm like, oh my God.
Not so much, right? Not
No,
so much Hollywood celebrity as more
no,
everyday person who's been soaked under a mask, I'm sure.
no. It was not a pretty sight. So I tell
Yeah.
that in the book. That story, you can't, I'm not telling you go out and learn how to install a muffler, but
Right.
that story really put me on the map. It really got me so much respect
Mm.
because, I was, most of this other salespeople were all men. None of them went, took the time
They
to
didn't
do
do
that.
that. So this
No, they didn't do
yeah.
that. And so, just to go the extra mile or even have some type of a signature story to
Mhm.
show your customer that you really care. Learn about their business. Everyone likes to talk about what their world. And if you say, "Will
Mhm.
you teach me what your day is like and what are the problems or what are the situations?" um, that is going to make you unique and uncopyable.
Yes.
Now, I have some other things in the book that I talk about,
Mhm.
about branding yourself. Like I always wear orange, just like
Orange,
Brenda,
you're orange and I'm pink, and
and
we,
you're pink.
wherever we go in our mailings and our packages and our boxes and our even in our LinkedIn headers and our websites, it's consistent. I remember you talking something about in the book too, and there was a name that you gave to it, but it was a dimensional mailing, so it wasn't a flat mailer. I don't remember if there was a special name for it or
Well, but so a couple things we do,
yeah.
and one is just the lumpy mail.
Lumpy mail,
So
that's what it was, and it was
yes,
just the word lumpy. I'm like, "Oh, that's,
lumpy.
memorable."
Yeah. And you know what? If you have any level of OCD, it will drive you crazy because what you do is you put something in the envelope that doesn't fit. So it's not even and you can't really seal it properly. It's got wrinkles in it and you can't meter it or anything. And it really drives curiosity, but it just drove me crazy to have these mailings that are all rumpled up. So something like that, it stands out. And right now, with everything online, direct
Yeah.
mail is, such a great way to connect with people and stand out.
What's
So,
old becomes new again
oh
because
yes,
it's like everybody's kinda zigging and you're zagging. You're trying some different things that are it almost evokes, like, this emotion because we used to do a lot more things this other way, this, traditional way, which is not traditional anymore, but
right.
using mailings is one of them. There was so many great tips in the book, Kay, and I know we don't have time to cover all of them in here, and I do wanna kinda start to shift our conversation and invite our audience, if you do have any questions for Kay, about becoming an uncopyable salesperson, about the sales process, about her techniques, etc., please drop them in comments below. Or if you have comments about anything we've talked about during the conversation here today, please drop them in comments as well. I did see one question come in that I want to pull up on screen for you right now, Kay, and that was
Okay.
coming from Cindy. So let me do this. I'm going to have this running as a ticker. I've learned little things in StreamYard how I can keep my tickers running and at the same time pull a question up so we can have that up on screen. Haha, StreamYard figured out a workaround. So if I want to keep something on screen, I've got to run it in a ticker. And then the second thing I can pull up is the comment here. Cindy asked, what's the 80-20 rule? And she must have missed it. So can you help explain
Yes.
what that means?
So the 80-20 rule is just this rule, like I can't think of another example, but 80, they say that 80% of your sales will come from 20% of your customers. Now, there's a great book called The 80-20. I'm not sure what exactly the whole title is,
Mhm.
but the author is Perry Reynolds.
Okay.
And it is one of the most amazing books because it's actually, oh, I think I might be blanking on the name. It's a principle, the Pareto principle,
Okay.
Pareto. So the 80-20 rule, which you'll hear a lot of times applies to sales, applies to traffic. It applies to the blood that goes through your body. 80% of your blood goes through 20% of your veins or something. It's just amazing how this rule is just so what's the word, universal.
Right.
So it's really fascinating to that book, Perry Reynolds. He really goes deep into that, but he also talks about how to apply it to your business because he said 80% of your business will come from 20% of your clients. And then within that group, 80% of your business will come from that 20%. You can keep going. So anyway, I highly recommend that book.
I'm trying to find it on Amazon right now, and I'm having a hard time finding it. I'll add it in later when I find it here.
Am I saying it? No. I think I might
know
have
it's Pareto, but I'm not finding.
Oh, I think I said what did I say
Perry
his last name
Marshall. Is it Perry Marshall?
Perry
80/20
Marshall.
Sales and Marketing. Does that sound right?
Perry Marshall. I'm
Okay.
so sorry.
See, we'll
I
know
I know a Perry Reynolds.
Apology free zone here on my broadcast. I don't know if I told you that, Kay.
No, I thought you said I'd be punished and I owe you 10 cents every time I made a mistake.
Let me see if I can pull. Does this look like the book right here?
Yes, it does.
Okay, see that? Haha, you can't outsmart us. We will figure things out. And I'm going to drop the link inside.
How many ratings does it have?
What's that?
Look at how many ratings it has. 850 ratings.
That's awesome. So we're going to give a shout out. We're going to put the link inside.
Perry Marshall. That book is totally worth it.
There you go. Awesome.
Right after you buy Brenda's and my books, that would be the next
while
one.
You're there, while you're on Amazon, right? Thank you for putting that on. So Cindy is saying, so referrals, right? I mean, I think we're talking here, Cindy, about getting more focused on who the customers are that are bringing in the majority of your revenue and focusing more of your efforts on that. But are you also suggesting, Kay, that we could be gaining more referrals using that same philosophy, or what are your thoughts there?
Well, I think it's natural that you will get more referrals when you are serving your customer that well. I mean, look at me. I just referred you to Perry Marshall's book. So when we're really happy with a product or service, we are going to refer. Now,
Right.
Depending on your relationship, I have definitely asked for referrals, but I'm very careful about it because I hate it when someone says, "Oh, give me the names of 5 friends," and they're, I've had people again, a banker say, give me the name of 5 friends and their numbers or whatever. No, obviously you need to protect your own reputation and your own relationship with the customer. But I have definitely asked people who are really happy with me, who else do you know that I could talk to? And I've had a lot of them just come to me and say, you should call this person. They could really use what you're selling. So really the best way to get referrals is to be an awesome salesperson or an awesome business person that they want to refer.
Can I suggest something too? When you talked about when people say, "Hey, who can you refer us to?" and they ask for those 5 names, because I've been given, I've been one of those names that have been given, and now with LinkedIn, there's a way that you can go inside messages and you can start a message chain with, like, let's say you were asked for referrals and you wanted to refer me in even without my permission, you could start a message with me and you, and I'm going to say Ken Hobbs, because I see Ken is in the chat right now. So Ken Hobbs asked for referrals and you started a message with me and Ken, 3 of us together, and you said, "Ken, meet Brenda. I think she'd be a perfect potential customer for you." And now I'm like, whoa, hold on here, what happened? So my suggestion for the audience, Kay, and tell me what you think about this, is before you refer someone, reach out to them and say, if you were to reach out to me and say, "Hey, Brenda, my friend Ken is selling XYZ solutions. I know you're struggling with, whatever the concept is, and I think he might be able to help you. Would you be open to an introduction?" And then if you wait for me to say, "Yes, that sounds great. Thank you for asking," and then you do the introduction, then I'm warmed up. I mean, I'm sure you agree with that, right, Kay?
No, I totally disagree.
The element of surprise.
No, okay. I agree. Yes, I totally agree, because you've got to protect your relation. You don't want to do that to people. You know what? Here's one we've all heard of, the golden rule. Treat other people like you'd want to be treated. We don't want to get those messages. Now, I have this giveaway that we're going to, tell the audience about. And something that people can do if they want to get on their radar is to say, "You know what? I put together a white paper." You'd still go through the same thing, ask if this is okay, but say, this person actually has a case study on a business like yours that they helped, so I was, would you mind if they sent it? That gives you a starting point, and you can read it and you can say, "Okay, this is, I want to learn more," or "I don't."
Right.
Again, if you have a book, which, or some type of a resource that you can give them, then you have a place, the person who's being targeted, I guess, is not so on the defensive. So that would be, my suggestion is you create something of value that you can send, but definitely ask first,
Yes.
what, is this okay if I connect you?
So let me just, as a for example, wink wink, of something you could give a value. So I have like a landing page, or a checklist rather, that I've created. I'm sending people to a landing page where you can download 50 LinkedIn tips. And when you download, you have to put in your first name, last name, email address. So you join my VIP email list by doing so. So in this case, I mean, what I use sometimes is the salespeople who pitch me. I'll reply back and I'll say, I'm not interested, but I've got a checklist of 50 LinkedIn tips for sales leaders you might be interested in. Here's the link. And I don't feel bad pushing the link on them because they've already
Right.
pushed their
They push you.
sales juice on me, right?
But if somebody actually gives an introduction, what I would do is take the opt-in out
Right.
and just say, here, I'd like to send you this PDF, because you already have their email if they're being introduced. And then, then you could just say, did any of that interest you?
Yeah.
I mean, I've referred your book to a ton of people, and I know some of them have bought. And then, I talk about you in my mastermind and say, if you guys need help, this gal is the one.
Right.
But I haven't got to the point, I still want to wait till see if they're interested before I say, Brenda, contact them. Because
Right. Right. Yeah. And I always tell people I'm not a salesperson. I'm a marketer. So when I'm
but
approached,
you do sell yourself.
but
You
I do,
sold
but
when we had our
and maybe it's just my own association with the traditional salesperson, the overly aggressive salesperson, the person who, and I think Tom had mentioned it earlier. I'm going to pull his comment up right now. He said, the follow-up email, hey, did you get my did you see my last email, blah blah blah. He's like, no, I just deleted it and I didn't respond because I'm not interested. He doesn't respond back to those. So for me, it's like this history I've had with people in the sales industry. It just frustrates me. And that's when I am a salesperson. I have to be because I'm self-employed. We all, I mean, to your point earlier, Kay, we are all salespeople, but it's that approach of that consultative approach. I'm going to ask more questions and I'm going to listen before trying to figure out if what I can offer you is of interest to you.
Well, and
Um,
during our initial call,
yeah.
I could tell you were very excited about
Yes.
your service, but you were really telling us, Steve and I, about what it could do for us.
Right. Right.
So, you might say, I didn't do any selling on that call. And by your definition, you didn't. I don't
Yeah.
know if you even asked for the order. But, a lot of times if you do this process right, the customer will say, you know what, I want that.
Right.
There's not a trial close and try to
Mhm.
say, do you want to meet between two, do you want to meet at 2 or 4?
Right.
That stuff doesn't work. Nobody wants to deal with that. So,
I mean, I always approach the situation, when you and Steve and I chatted, I think we had a discovery call. So I always tell people the point of the phone call is to figure out if my services are a match for what you need, and if this would be a good partnership for us to work together. I've had some conversations where at the end of the phone call, I will tell people, I don't think I'm a good fit for you for what you're looking for. Hey, you may want to reach out to Jeff Young or Michelle Raymond. I'll even refer people out and I'll say, here are some other people that might be. And I might even say, it sounds like you're really looking for sales training or sales tips. Why don't you reach out to Kay Meller? I might refer people over
there
to
you
you.
go. There you go.
We have
I
another
re-
question that came in from Tom. I want to keep us moving here. What do you think of networking groups, Kay?
Well, since COVID, I am not really in any. um, that's a good question, because it depends on your business, really. I have been in businesses that were more local, and I did go to networking groups. Um, some of the ones I've been in, like the BNI uh,
Mhm.
model, you have to give referrals. And I don't
Mhm.
really like that, because I ended up buying carpet cleaning for my house, and um, referring when you're forced to refer people. I don't like that model. But, networking groups, networking is awesome.
Right.
Networking
Mhm.
is great. Keeping in touch with your network is so powerful. But as far as defined networking groups, um, I'm not a huge fan. I'll have to tell you that.
I agree with you there, Kay, in that, like the BNIs and stuff. And I think if it works for you, great, keep going. And I'm not there to criticize. For me, I've been asked to join those groups where they say you have to pay to join, which I get it. I pay to join my other groups, but then you also have to bring referrals to get referrals. And I'm more organic with the way that I provide referrals, and I'm of a social media karma mindset. What I put out to the universe, I know will come back to me, but I don't expect anything. I let things happen naturally, but I do believe in the power of networking and in surrounding yourself with business professionals and people who are like you and people who are not like you from different backgrounds and industries, because we can learn from them. And that's part of the reason I do this show. Okay. I bring people on like you, and it's not just to inform and educate my audience, but it's for my own benefit, my own education
Right.
as well.
And just let me add that I do know somebody who, a good friend, doesn't live in our city, but he has a credit card processing company, for just different, restaurants or what kind of business. And he has done really well through a BNI group. So, it really is, it depends on the situation.
Yeah. And one final question from Marty. Text is a little bit smaller here, but she's saying the technique of asking for 3 to 5 referrals is overwhelming. She prefers it to be organic. Marty, you and I are alike. We get this. She likes the back channel, get them to say yes, it's okay first. And there are high-priced mastermind groups that preach this. Why do you suppose they do that? And I think we're kind of talking about the same concept here of the BNI, you pay membership in. Kay, any thoughts on that you want to share?
Well, just that, I don't want to put somebody else in a position that I don't want to be in, and like I say, just to say, okay, you have to give 3 to 5 referrals. I'm not going to refer anyone that I don't totally believe in and know and trust, So yeah, for me, it doesn't work.
All right, I see 2 more questions. I said we were going to wrap, but now the questions are starting to come in.
Yeah,
People are getting warmed up.
Bring them on.
So let's say, let's pull up this one. It says LinkedIn user. I'm going to try to figure out who this is. It's probably because either your privacy settings are a little bit more locked down, or you haven't enabled third-party folks to share. And I'll tag you in a blog that gives those instructions. But the person says, I have a problem, big problem being salesy. You're like me, big problem being salesy, being very explicit with selling terms and behavior. How can I learn to sell my services and products then? I mean, this is a pretty big question to get into.
Yeah, I would get my book, number one. I mean, I'm sorry to say, because that is a big question. Of course, there are things that you have to tell the customer, but, in the book, I tell a story about someone who came in, I call him Power Wash Dude, and he brought a notebook, and he is top of the line. And he went through page by page telling everything about the product and service. And it was my friend, and she just was so bored. She was looking at the clock. Her body language must have been screaming, let me out of here, right? Really, in this case, I'll just address this case. She had some specific things she was looking for. And if he would have asked, why are you having having the power wash done now? What do you have in mind? And he could have found out, oh, I'm worried about my shrubs being damaged, or, I don't want, I really want the street appeal. Anyway, finding out what the customer wants, then you don't have to spill all that information. You just really have to find out. And in the book, I talk about even being a detective, finding out the few things you should be addressing. And the other stuff you might think is awesome, and they might not care. So that's my advice. So I hope that helps.
And I put your book website, I pulled it up on screen here, and I did put the link on as well. Let me just see if I have it in a banner here. Let me put it on here. So it's uncopyablesales.com. And as we start to wind our conversation, Kay, I want to pull your LinkedIn profile up on screen, because I believe you have something in your profile, if I'm not mistaken, that it's like a BOGO, right?
It is a BOGO. So Steve, we didn't even really have time to talk about that, but he wrote the original book called Uncopyable in 2017, and it deals with marketing, innovation, and branding. So then the publisher asked me to write this book applying that same principle to sales. So if you go to uncopyablesales.com/book or that BOGO offer right there,
Right here, right?
then order the book from Amazon and email me a copy of the screenshot of your receipt, and I will mail you an autographed copy of Steve's book. So you'll have
cool.
Uncopyable Sales and Uncopyable for Marketing. And then last but not least, Brenda, tell them about my giveaway.
So let me just pull this up. I'm trying to pilot and co-pilot here.
Yeah,
I apologize.
really, your fingers are flying.
And my brain is frozen right now on your giveaway, Kay, so I'm sorry. Can you help me? Help me remember what you told me not to forget.
Yes. Okay. So uncopyablesales.com/Meller.
Oh, that's right.
MELLER. If you go there, then you can sign up to get a giveaway. I'm really excited about it. It's 5 proven secrets to get in the door. I've got photos, I've got specific examples, stories of how they worked and the results. So if you want to know about getting creative and getting in the door, once you know your moose, get this, and I guarantee one of them will get you in the door.
I love it. And as soon as you said it, I remembered the website because you said you used my brand color in the background. Pink, love it.
Yay.
And I felt like this immediate, like, oh, Brenda, you just let your guests down. You totally forgot.
Okay.
But learning experience, no mistakes here, everyone. Learning experience. When your guests tell you, don't forget, I'm going to put this on your show, put it in your meeting invite for yourself, because that's like, I go back to my meeting invite, everything that we've talked about, I put in the body of that description there. So there we have it.
Well, I have a feeling that
uncopyablesales.com/Meller. Yep. And I put it up on screen, and I also put it as a comment on LinkedIn for those folks that are watching this right now.
I think we have a very forgiving audience.
I hope so. You guys okay with all of this? Because this is not overly produced, my show here. This is more conversational. This is real people that I bring on here. And, hopefully you've all found this very enlightening. Kay, any final comments for us on how to make more sales by becoming an uncopyable salesperson as we start to wind our conversation down today?
I'm going to have 2 quick things. One, remember it's about connection. Like the last question was, I'm too salesy. Really think about connecting with the other person on a human to human level. And then I think that will take away the salesy part. Like, when you're speaking, I found that if I think it's all about me, oh, how do I look? How do I sound? Then I'm more uptight and it doesn't work as well as when I think, oh, I'm talking to you. You're my audience. You're the reason I'm here. So make it about the other person. And one of my final tip, which people have had such a great time with and it really helped, is to call a customer or two and say, hey, can you tell me in your words why you buy? Because they know the objections, that might be higher priced. It might have delivery is slower or whatever, but they still chose to buy from you. So if you ask a couple customers, I think they'll enjoy telling you, and you'll have some great, ammo to meet objections, because you can say, well, another customer thought about that, but here's why they decided this is still really the right decision for them, because in the long run, blah, 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 right? So those are my tips. Human to human, ask one customer, why do you buy?
I love it. And related to that, I'm going to give a little bonus LinkedIn tip. If you get those customers, your biggest cheerleaders, and you get them to answer that question, why do they buy from you? Ask them to give you a LinkedIn recommendation. Ask them to go on your profile, and you can even request it through LinkedIn. You go on their top of their profile, there's a little more button, you click on more, and you request a recommendation from them. And then the beauty of this is it's public, and this is like a testimonial, it's social proof. You can merchandise it, you can share it around as a LinkedIn post, and it also helps as you're working with future customers and they're on the fence about working with you. It helps them to kind of understand from that customer's point of view. So a linked tip that we can kind of marry together on your tip.
Yes, I love it, Brenda. And you know what? Besides my great book, I do have this book. Like I said, I've recommended it to many people. And if you don't have it, you better go to Amazon right now.
You're missing out.
You're missing out.
I want to pull your LinkedIn up on screen again too. And are you open to accepting invitations from folks that are watching the show here today?
If people in this audience, yes.
Absolutely. And I want to remind everyone, when you go to Kay's profile, you may notice that I know that she's got the hashtags at the top of her profile, which means she has creator mode enabled. So when you first go to her profile, you're not going to see the connect button. It's going to say follow. Now, if you follow, that means you'll be following her updates. But if you want to connect with her, you'll have to click on the more button. And underneath the more button, you'll see an option that will either say personalize invite or connect. You want to click on that, add a note, and then say, hey, Kay, I saw you on the show today with Brenda Meller, like name drop me so she knows where you saw me from, right? And if there's something that was particularly memorable or helpful for you, mention that as well. What I love about this technique is using that personalized approach with your invitation. Kind of ties into everything we talked about today. You're starting to build a relationship with the person. You're making yourself known, why you're connecting with them. You're not a blind invitation with no context to it. And you have a higher likelihood that Kay is going to accept it because she knows that you watched the show with all of us here today.
Exactly.
All right, Kay. Anything else? If people want to do business with you, what's the best way for them to get a hold of you? Is it through
My
LinkedIn?
email? Yeah, LinkedIn is fine. Message me on LinkedIn. I'll just keep it simple.
There you go. Wonderful. Well, I want to thank everyone for watching. I had a delightful time today.
Yes, that was wonderful. A rocky
start.
start.
Up the side,
and then
right? It's like they kept throwing them at it and we just kept batting them back, right? We just kept going through. So we got it going. So I want to say thank you all so much for watching. If you did enjoy the conversation, one thing you can do is as soon as you're done watching the video, there's going to be a little share button that will appear at the bottom of it. Could you click on share and share this video as a LinkedIn post? And then when you do so, tag Kay in your post and you could say something like, I just finished watching a great LinkedIn live with @Kay Meller. You could tag me if you wanted to @Brenda Meller. And here's one of my takeaways. Like tell people something that you learned. You never know when you're going to be able to share something that's going to help someone in your network. Bonus, that counts as your LinkedIn post. So if you're struggling with content, you can use what you've learned here today to reshare that along. And you're building up that social media karma. So don't be shy about doing that. Please feel free to share that along. Kay, thank you so much for joining. I look forward to someday, hopefully we'll be able to meet in person.
And remember, be uncopyable. You are uncopyable. So use that and be uncopyable.
Remember the moose. I'm pointing at the moose that we talked about here today too. I love it.
Thank you so much, Brenda. I really appreciate it. It was,
right, thank you, Kay. And
thank
you everyone for watching. Whether you're watching live or in playback, please make sure to leave a comment so that we know that you are here. And I want everyone to stay safe and stay healthy. And we will see you all on LinkedIn. Take care, everyone. Thank you.